flips the idea of how an electric motor looks like on its head. And as soon as that happens, it means that you're operating in an environment where not many engineers have operated before, and it just gives you this beautiful freedom to innovate.
Welcome to the Marine EV Leadership Series on the Green Boater TV. We're here with Remigo co-founder Tjas Cvek and USA President Peter Brechter. Remigo is rethinking the entire outboard boating experience with user-centric design and smart tech. Get ready to see how their approach is steering the boating industry towards a smarter and more sustainable future. Let's go. So welcome to the Green Boater TV and today's episode of the Marine EV Leadership Series. I am so pleased to have one of the most exciting new companies on the market today, coming us directly from Slovenia as well as from headquarters in New York. Thank you so much for being here today. We've got a lot of stuff to get to, but I think just to start, let's catch us up on your stories. And perhaps, Josh, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about where you are and your journey to get to the place where you are one of the co-founders of Remigo.
Yeah, thank you. So right now I'm in one of the rooms in the Remigo workshop. This is actually the mechanical room. So most of the transom bracket and pretty much the entire way your Remigo is fixed to your boat is built in this room. So that's actually what you see on the racks behind me. And I'm sitting here in Ljubljana in the Remigo headquarters. This is actually our second place, which we moved into around 2 years ago. But it's where all of the Remigos currently on sale have been and are being manufactured. As for the story, we're in Ljubljana right now. The Remigo has always been based in Ljubljana. Everything started as a much smaller operation, initially in one little office building from our CEO, then to a shared space, a co-working environment, and then finally to our own production facility. We're still pretty much right in the Ljubljana center. And yeah, we build the motors here. We also have a really nice Ljubljanica river. So whenever we have any new prototypes to test, it's a great location to be. We can inflate our boat and we can do thrust tests and top speed tests and things like that.
Peter, you have just recently joined Remigo and you chose the company.
I've been a business builder for a long time. My career has been primarily in the nutrition industry over the years, being a corporate development person, which basically means when the CEO of a company decides he wants to be in something new, he turns to someone like me and says, go figure out whether we should build this or buy this. And I've been doing that all over the world for about 20 years. And recently I started a couple of businesses in the active lifestyle industry. And having recently exited one of those, I bought a boat last summer and was looking for an electric engine. And when I found the Remigo online, I just fell in love with it. And I reached out to the company and asked where I could get one in the United States, and I was told that there wasn't any distribution. And I was very disappointed. And it was probably about a week later that I got back in touch and said, well, would you like to have U.S. distribution? And this is what I do. I start businesses. So here I am, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. It's such a wonderful product, and it comes from such a great place.
What attracted you to the company, or what you've helped form in the company in terms of its core values and the passion behind the product?
It's quite simple, actually. What drew me to this was the core product. It just made so much sense. I was always fascinated by electronics. I was always fascinated by good engineering. For example, in F1, where you have all of the components just fit so nicely. And like effectively, if you peel away the skin, you'll see that there's no empty volume in there. So just from an engineering perspective, I thought, that's a nice thing to work on. And that's what got me excited. I was immediately thinking, well, this is going to be great for the cooling. All sorts of wonderful engineering thoughts appear in your head when you see something like that, because it flips the idea of how an electric motor looks like on its head. And as soon as that happens, it means that you're operating in an environment where not many engineers have operated before. And it just gives you this beautiful freedom to innovate.
So Peter, you obviously did take a look around in the marketplace. You said you fell in love with the product, but you've also been getting to know the team, as you said. So what are some of the things that you've seen from the team that would resonate with our audience, which is the green environment, right? So why does the world need another electric motor? Well, we've got lots of gas, fossil fuel motors that work perfectly fine.
The whole fossil fuel thing, I mean, it's the world is really on fire with electrification to eliminate fossil fuels. In the marine world, any of us who have been down on the water in small boats for years, where it is a sad fact that we're used to sitting at a dinghy dock or near a marina and seeing oil and things like that in the water. And as I understood that the technology for electric propulsion was, really coming forward, I was very excited to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. And I've been on boats of all types and sizes for my entire life, and you never touch a gasoline engine without getting greasy or oily or covered with gasoline. Storing them on a boat is always a problem. It is quite fascinating to think that for years people have been storing outboard engines on the deck of their boats because they don't dare take them down below. And when I contemplated, an electric engine, I thought, well, this is going to be a game changer. I can just toss it down below, find a nice clean place for it. But then when I saw the Remigo, I mean, you take a look at it. It's a one piece solution. There aren't pieces, there aren't batteries, there's nothing. You just pick it up off the transom. You can take it down below, just throw it into a holder, and you're done. You wipe it off, maybe. So that was very attractive to me, and I'm excited about not having all of the fossil fuel involvement in my life because I'm at an age and have grown up in a time where I think I've done my damage. So to reduce my carbon footprint and my pollution is probably a good thing for me.
Tell us a little bit about the maintenance required for this wonderful electric motor that you've built.
So effectively, the only thing you have to keep in mind is the seals and the anodes. Just because these are things which are not directly influenced by your choice of propulsion. So a seal is still going to be a relatively standard engineering solution. But when you look at all the other parts, all of the moving parts, all of the temperatures, all of the fluids that you have inside an internal combustion engine, all of that is gone. And even things like cooling, which could be more difficult just by the fact that both our motor and our controller is all underwater. It means you could have really simple engineering solutions, really effective engineering solutions also, where the heat is effectively wicked away into the aluminum housing, and it just works really nicely. I mean, the entire sea is your heatsink, so that works well. And of course, just the reduced mechanical complexity, the reduced part count, and the reduced wearables. I mean, a while ago with electric, you at least had the brushes, which you had to replace. Now those have been gone for a while. So it just means, effectively every, let's say, 2 years, you should replace your anodes. And I would say around every 3 to 5 years, depending on your use, you should also have your seals looked at because those will wear. But other than that, you have nothing else to worry about.
Well, there's always that fear at the beginning of boating season where you take your outboard and you put it on your transom and you give it a pull and it doesn't work.
Yeah. It never works.
Yeah, or it does start and there's no cooling water coming through, and you go, "Oh, that's an impeller," and that's another $1,000. So,
and if it's an outboard, you have to go to physical therapy after you get it going from all the pulling that you have to do to get it going.
That's been one of the main selling points, because people ask you, well, why would you go electric? And the moment you mention, never again will you pull the string, a lot of them are already sold on that step. If you can neglect to mention the smell, the placing, the taking it in the hole, and all the other benefits. Just the fact that people don't have to pull the rope already converts a significant amount.
In the case of the Remigo engine, they didn't start by looking at an outboard engine. I really think they started with a blank slate. They came up with just fabulous solutions to get rid of things. I think one of the philosophies that one of the founders shared with me, Marco, was that the job is done when as much is removed from the product as possible.
What really makes Remigo unique is I think we were the first one who said, okay, we're building an electric engine. So what does an electric outboard engine look like? And What we built is what our vision of what an electric outboard engine should look like. Well, what is important for people to know is our first problem which we were solving was not how to make a green engine, it was how to make the most user-friendly engine. And it turns out the answer to that question is you have to go electric. All of the other things that come with it are beautiful benefits, but like the core issue that Remigo was addressing was what is the most user-friendly, easy to use, nice to use motor that people actually want to use? What does that look like? The biggest change there that we did was this unibody construction. So effectively, everywhere else, you see this big battery, which is sitting on top of the motor. And then, anyone who's ever seen a silhouette of a petrol engine knows what I'm talking about. It's a hump on top, a thin shaft down, and then a propeller on the bottom. And effectively what we've done is just we've moved all of that electronics underwater. Now it's all aluminum, it's all metal. There's been some anxieties people have had with that. But I think that's, again, something that happened 3 years ago. Now people are comfortable with it.
Peter, what attracted you not only to the form factor, but the fact that you said earlier that you look at businesses?
I think that the way that when from the outside looking in, I looked at it and I said, this is kind of an iPhone for the outboard industry. It's where somebody's taken a product and just completely rethought it and made it so user friendly that it does everything without all the trouble. And so when I see something like that, I think it's a real jump forward. And I was very familiar with a lot of the products that were in the market, and a lot of them were, quite frankly, scary with, loose parts and things that you had to assemble and pieces that could be lost. And when I looked at this, and it comes in one box, and you have a charger, a unit the transom mount, and the engine, and that's it. And the transom mount stays on the boat. The engine lifts off the transom mount, and you just take it home and you plug it in, or you leave it on the boat and you plug it in. So it was just so easy. But then, I'm also a big fan of design, and when I looked at the design, that's when I was like, well, this is kind of the Bang and Olufsen of the outboard industry, because the design is gorgeous. It really is. It's absolutely beautiful. When you look at it on the stern of a boat, it's gained popularity in sport boats in Europe, and it's been adopted by one particular class of racing boat called J70. When you look at the engine on the back of a J70, it doesn't even look like an engine. It just looks like it belongs there.
How do you see the market acceptance for Remigo?
Well, I think we're in a good position because others have gone before us and have established a market with very deficient products compared to our product. So I think that our particular timing of entering the North American market is really great. The public is ready for this solution, very much ready for this solution. And there are a lot of people like me who have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for a good electric product to come along. And they've been watching the market mature. Of course, it is a vibrant market at the moment, which I don't think you could necessarily say 4 or 5 years ago.
What is your distribution plan? Are you going direct to consumer, or are you going through a distributor model?
We are going to launch the product as a direct to consumer product. It allows us to keep a pulse on what's going on and create interest in the market. That will essentially help us establish a distribution footprint, because the distributors that we're talking to now, some of them are fabulous and they're obvious answers to that need. Some aren't, and I think the DTC model, direct to consumer, is going to give us the flexibility to make sure it's done right and that we don't disappoint any customers.
Can you tell us a little bit what's going on in the laboratory in terms of where Remigo's product strategy is going?
Yeah, I can say that definitely Remigo 1 is not going to be the only product. We already have something in the pipeline for the future, but yeah, expect something of a similar form factor. But let's just say that 1 kilowatt is not the only power range that we're targeting with this approach. But at the same time, we still feel like it needs to be a little bit unique and has some, let's say, Remigo character to it. One really interesting thing is the solar options. And I think here we are the market leader in our category in terms of providing you the most interesting options for solar charging. A Remigo can charge just as fast from the sun as it can from the wall, right? For example, you can get the fast charger with the Remigo. You can recharge your Remigo from the sun in 3 to 4 hours with the right system.
What are some of the other challenges, Peter, maybe that you have seen already as you in your role?
One of the challenges is figuring out the right distribution model. I'd say that's probably one of our biggest challenges. The electrical aspect of the product in a world where people still think of gasoline as the primary propulsion opportunity is, there is a mindset that you have to get by with certain people.
And how do you see the market in Europe being perhaps a little bit more advanced or further ahead than North America?
And here I think we have to say credit where credit is due, and that's Torqeedo, because I think that's the company which has to be credited with. They effectively proved that an electric motor is a viable solution for a certain range size of boats. I don't think there's as much doubts in the viability of an electric motor. But what we're actually doing in Europe right now is we're not convincing petrol users, hey, switch from petrol, go to electric, because I think that in for a significant amount, not all, but for a significant amount of applications, that's already been achieved. For us, it's okay. You've seen that electric works. That's what we think that electric should be like, and we're going to convince you that that's something you should pick over your, let's say, more conventional electric.
I have been anchored in beautiful, quiet bays where you can hear the footsteps of a seagull on the shore. And then somebody gets at 4 in the friggin' morning, gets in their 5 horsepower gas thing, turns it on to take their dog to shore to pee. And it wakes everybody up. Right?
That is so it. That is so it.
And then they get back and they start their generator to make coffee, and you just go, that's it. Josh, thank you so much for taking the time and revealing a little bit about how your company came to be in terms of what it wanted to accomplish. And
I appreciate you taking the time also to have us here. And just generally, I think it's a great thing to have a platform like yours to be able to talk about these topics, because I still think that like one of the downsides with electric is still a lot of the people are unfamiliar.
I would love to thank you for the opportunity to talk and give you kudos for having such a wonderful platform and focusing in such a vital area. I think this is a wonderful platform, and look forward to more of your future forecasts.
Thank you very much, Josh. Thank you very much, Peter. And this is Bruno, the Green Boater. And we have been engaged here in a discussion with Remigo as part of our Marine Electric Vehicle Leadership Series. Thank you very much. All of the information that you need to contact Remigo, find out more about their product line, as well as how to get a hold of the folks here in North America, will be in the show notes. Hey, thank you for watching this episode of the Green Boater TV. I would encourage you to like and subscribe and pass this information on to some other boaters that you know, so that we can all help protect the ocean we love.